Meeting Five Sauce on Bourbon Street was beyond anything I could have imagined. Like I had every time since the New Broken scene, which was almost a year ago, my expectations with meeting Five Sauce after concerts or in the city or in the airport or wherever the case may be have gone very low. So every time I go to a show, at least for this tour, I knew of when I would probably have a chance to meet them, but I also went in thinking that it was not gonna happen. Just because, you know, I don't know if any of you know or were there. For when Fire Sauce came to Miami from Chicago, but that was literally the saddest night of my life because I don't expect them to ever stop, but it was it kind of sucked because they had been stopping at all the airports for the Jingle Ball tour thing, and it just so happened that their flight from Chicago to Miami got delayed by like 3 hours, and it just so happened that Star Wars also came out that day. So on top of the fact that it was delayed and they got here at midnight, so they're obviously tired and annoyed, they went to go watch Star Wars. So even if we were lined up, which we were, and whatever, they didn't stop for us. And ever since that night, I came to realize that they don't, just because they do it everywhere else doesn't mean that they're going to do it in your city. And that's why I started going into these things just not expecting them to stop. Like, you know when your windows of opportunity are, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. So I didn't expect anything to happen. The only thing I knew was if they have a rest day before the show, then they're probably going to spend their free day in the following city. They had a free day before the NOLA show. So I was so sure that they would, explore the city, which that actually, like, it was the case, but it wasn't. Because Luke did step out and he did meet a couple of fans, but for the most part, they stuck around the hotel. And the hotel ended up being literally the most obscure thing. So even if you think you have the hotel game down, don't be surprised if they decide to go to something totally random. Because as seen by Nola, maybe it was a fluke, but as seen by Nola, they don't necessarily have to follow their usual pattern of hotels. Um, Hey Violet was out and about on the street in case you are a Hey Violet fan and would like to meet them. They're for the dates that I went to, they were easy to meet. Like they're gonna explore just as much as we are because a lot of these places they haven't been to. So, good luck if you want to meet Hey Violet. They're very nice people. Roy was easy to meet as well, except his security is kind of rude. So we had to get through that guy first. But yeah, so Five Sauce. I'm sorry, I've been talking shit for 3 minutes now. I went on Bourbon Street. It was 8:45. It was our last chance. Like we didn't know where else to go. And we went because we saw Roy's Snapchat and it was a place on Bourbon. So we went, we walked down a little bit and nothing. Like there was no sign of anyone. So I called up a Lyft so I could go home and shower and come back because I was gonna go to Bourbon Street anyway to celebrate my birthday with my friend. Um, so I was gonna be there regardless. So maybe they would have shown up later, or whatever. But obviously, I have other friends and they weren't gonna go back out, so they really wanted to meet Five Sauce. So it's 8:45 and I'm like, I gotta go. It's time. And I'm gonna get in my Lyft and I see Ashton's tattoo on his neck, the little bird. And I was like, holy shit, it's Ashton. And then you see Callum, and you see Casey, and you see Nia, and you see Ian, and you see their crew. And I was just like, what the fuck? And then they walk into the sidewalk in front of me, and I was like, what the fuck? And they end up stopping, standing on the sidewalk. And I could tell, other people had like tried to say hi, And security, I knew that they weren't taking any pictures. Like someone had said it, and they weren't really meeting people. My mom had walked up to Callum and like tapped him on the shoulder just to say hi, and immediately security was like, "Oh yeah, don't." And so they end up stopping on the sidewalk in front of me, and I was having an internal debate. I was like, I don't know if I want to go up to them and say hi, because I was just getting kind of negative vibes from Ashton, with reason, because he came out on Bourbon Street and all of a sudden it was like cockroaches, like all the fans. We just came out of nowhere, and everyone was like, "Oh shit!" And I guess he felt kind of overwhelmed, which is perfectly normal, perfectly fine, like whatever. And so I didn't want to go up. Like I felt like I was intruding. So my mom tells me, she was like, "At least do what I did. All I did was tap him, just say hi. Like you don't need to take a picture." I usually don't ask for a picture when I meet Five Sauce. Like just because I'd rather just talk to them a little bit. Not that there's anything against pictures, but I want them to understand that my point in meeting them is to talk to them, say hi, ask them how they're doing, wishing them luck on the show, whatever. My point isn't to get a picture, because I don't need to prove to anyone that I met them. My purpose in meeting them is being able to tell them that I think that they are special, and that they're special to me, and whatever. Like I want them to understand that I'm not doing this just for the retweets. I'm doing this because I appreciate you. When I've gotten pictures because they ask if I want a picture, which is fine. Like also like I'm not going against people who ask for pictures or anything like that. That's perfectly fine. Pictures are expected. You just met someone that you look up to and that you really like their music. That's perfectly fine. But, at the end of the day, they are human. And it's because of those people that freak out and then just go up and shove a phone in their face that they will shy away from taking pictures with fans or meeting them or anything like that. And it's also knowing when to, boundaries, like, whatever. I'm ranting. Back to what happened. So my mom tells me, she's like, "Listen, it's your birthday. You came all the way from Miami to New Orleans. I had a dream." She actually did have a dream. But point is, she was like, "When else are you going to get this chance? What if you don't get this chance again later tonight or tomorrow or whatever? Just go up to him and just say hi. What's the worst that can happen? It's not like you're being rude or anything. It's like any other person. You're just telling them hi." So I was like, you know what? You're right. So they had noticed that I had been like arguing with my mom about going up to them, and she was trying to get pictures, and I'm like, dude, they literally said no pictures, like just stop, like relax. And so I turn around and I start walking up, and Callum notices me walking up, and I wave and I'm like, "Hi, Callum," and he's like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Oh, I just want to say hi because it's my 21st birthday." And he was like, "Oh, happy birthday." And he was very, like, he was in a good mood. He was like, "Oh, happy birthday." And I was talking to the group, like it was Casey and, Hey Violet's crew and Ian, and I was like, I came all the way from Miami. I just wanted to tell you guys that I hope you have a great show tomorrow. And they're like, "Oh, thank you, blah, blah, blah." And then Callum was like, "Oh, I hope you enjoy your night out tonight. Happy birthday." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I was like, "Okay, bye." And I turned around and left. And I didn't ask. I kind of wish I would have asked him for like a hug, but I know, like after, like I've been thinking about this for the past 3 weeks. I swear. I thought about it and I was like, I know that the reason that I didn't ask him for a hug was because it's kind of like it's like a group that's kind of weird, like, "Oh, can I get a hug?" Like, and then I just leave. Like, it goes against any other social contracts I may have in regards to any other regular, like, it's just awkward to just give one person a hug and just whatever. Like, I was talking to a group, I wasn't just talking to Callum, although initially I was directed at Callum, but whatever. I got to tell him hi, and I told him it was my birthday. He wished me a happy birthday, and that made my fucking night. Like, if that would have been the only thing that happened, it would have made my night, because if you know me and you follow me, you know that Callum makes me really happy. And so that was fucking that was beyond anything I could have asked for. So yeah. Like, that was, if I had any expectations of Nola, it would have been to meet Callum and get to say hi. And that was just amazing. Like, I couldn't have asked for anything better. And even, it's not even like saying it, it's so trivial, because all I did was say hi and tell him it was my birthday and I got a happy birthday back. And it was such a brief conversation, but he was just so nice about it that it was just what I needed. So then, whatever, we leave. I get in my Lyft. I tell my friend that was gonna come out with me later. I was like, "Yo, Five Sauce is here," and then she's like, "Okay, cool, chill." So we go, we get ready. We were staying in the same hotel, so we go downstairs, we get a cab, we go out, and right when we get on Bourbon Street, Five Sauce passes right by us, just walks right in front of us again. And this time I had seen, it was Callum. It was Callum and Nia, and I don't remember if Michael was there that time. I don't think I noticed Michael that time, but I saw Luke and Arzelia, and I don't remember seeing Ashton in that point in time. Yeah, Michael wasn't there. Luke and Arzelia, and I saw like Rena, and I saw Casey, and I saw Ian, and I saw the crew. It was more so like the original people, but then this time also adding in Luke and Arzelia. So then we were just kind of like, let's not do this right now. Let's go do our thing, and then we'll come back, just because we didn't want to make it like super obvious from the get-go, like, yo, we're Five Sauce fans here to find you and meet you. So, like, we were also there for our own enjoyment. So we go and we got drinks. We get back on the street, and again, our paths cross. Like, I promise you, this isn't even like me trying to go out and look for them. Like, literally, like, they just so happen to be coming back down the street again. And then this time honestly, we were walking in the same direction. So I just fell in step, and Callum was walking by himself, and he ends up walking right next to me. I had changed, so obviously I don't look anything like what I looked like when I met him, so I was like, I don't know if he's gonna recognize me or not. I didn't even bother to say hi again, because he was by himself, and I don't know, I just felt inappropriate, like, telling him something again. So I was just walking next to him, drinking my drink, and by next to him I mean, like, he was less than 3 feet away from me. Like, we were walking next to each other. And so I was just content in my own head. And we end up going elsewhere. Like, we end up exploring. We did karaoke. We went to a bar, whatever. Like, we were having our own fun. And then once I was I got like a fishbowl drink, 64 ounces or whatever. And once I finished it, we left this bar that we were at, and we go back out on the street, and there they go again. Like, they were literally just doing laps. They were doing laps. I guess occasionally they would walk into like bars here and there, but they were just doing laps for the most part. And so then they walk by again, like, it's like the group. And as the night goes by, like, they're more like dispersed. And so this time I see Michael, and I see Roy, and I see Crystal, and I was like, oh shit. But the first person I saw was Roy, and I was like, I really want to say hi to Roy. And I was kind of drunk, so my common sense goes out the window. And I'm assuming that the way that Five Sauce does things when they're in big groups like that is that they have Dave right next to them. Dave was right next to them. And they have someone who's like fallen back so that they can see if anyone tries to like come up from behind. So my drunk ass starts jogging. And when I'm like 10 feet away, like I wasn't trying to like run up to my, like I was just jogging a little bit so I could catch up because I had spotted them, and then I was debating with my friend whether or not to go up, and she was like, dude, fucking go, because Michael's there. So, I was only jogging a little bit so I could close up some of the distance between us, but I wasn't gonna like jog all the way up to Michael. But I guess that was enough for Dave to turn the fuck around and go, stop. You need to stop. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And I just fell back. Like, I was like, okay, I'll go. I just turned the fuck around. And my friend was like, you're an idiot. Why would you start jogging? And I told her, I was like, honestly, I didn't realize, like, my common sense went out the window. This is what happens when you have alcohol. And so I was like, I fucking blew it. Like, I'm done. And then she was like, she tells me, she was like, oh, you know, when Dave told you that and you turned around and you started walking my way, Michael actually turned around and, you know, he was gonna try to say hi to you, but Dave didn't let him. And I was like, oh, fuck, are you kidding me? Whatever. And then she was like, okay, you need to go into, I think it was called like Tropical Eye or some shit. And she was like, you need to go in there because Luke just walked in there with Arzayla. And I was like, oh shit, okay. So I go up to the place. If you ever want to walk into a bar on Bourbon Street, you have to show them your ID, no matter what. So I go up to the place, and I was just like peering in through the door, and I don't see anyone. Like, the bar was empty. And I go back to my friend, I'm like, dude, this place is empty. And she was like, go inside. Like, I saw them walk inside. So I was like, okay. Show the guy my ID. And I walk in, and I first look to my left, and I'm like, I was like, there's no one in here. And I look to my right, and I guess like the shock on my face prompted Arzelia to like break the ice, and she was like, hi, hello, how are you? And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, oh my god, hi guys, it's my 21st birthday. I wasn't sloppy drunk. I was just, it was like, you know, when you have like kind of word vomit, but I wasn't sloppy drunk. And so we were kind of all like gushing over birthdays and shit, and they're like, oh my god, happy birthday, blah blah blah. And Arzela's like, I'm gonna buy you, she was like, what should I get? I'm gonna buy you a shot. I was like, tequila, you can never go wrong with tequila, which is a true fact. And then she's like, okay. So then we were talking about birthdays. She goes ahead and like she starts looking at her purse, and like she had like a face like I don't know what to, like you know when you, that face you do when you realize you don't have money. So then I was like, if you don't have money, I got you. And I opened my purse. I open my purse and I pull out a $20 bill to Arzelia and Luke Hemmings as if they need my fucking money. As if I haven't given this band enough of my money. And I offer to buy the shots. And then she was like, no, it's okay, it's okay. And I put my money away. And then we started talking about birthdays. And we were talking about, like, the best birthdays. And she was like, oh yeah, when you turn, she said 19. Unless I don't remember. Unless I misheard. But I thought she said 19. So doesn't make sense because the drinking age is 18 over there. But she's like, oh yeah, the best birthdays are 19 and 21 because you're finally legal and blah, blah. And Luke was like, yeah. And I was like, why the fuck is Luke saying yeah if he's not legal here? But whatever. Like, we were just talking about best birthdays. And so then she goes up to the bar, and then I spot Crystal come in, and she gets there, and I was like, oh shit, it's Crystal. So I go up to Crystal and was like, hi, Crystal. And she's like, hi, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, my name is Leslie. And I was like, it's so nice to meet you. And I told her it was my birthday. She's like, oh, happy birthday. And then I was like, I love your tweets. You're so positive. And then I told her, Zeta, I was like, I love your tweets. You make me feel like a bad bitch. And she's like, yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. And I was like, yeah. And it was just like, it was fucking weird as shit. This was straight out of the Twilight Zone. Because we were all having a grand old time. Like, if we were all BFFs. And I was just fucking weirded out. Like, not weirded out. In hindsight, I feel weirded out about this. Because it's fucking crazy. Like, in what... like, what are the odds? Just what are the odds? Like, it doesn't, whatever. So it's Arzelia, me, and Crystal, and we're just all there, and the shots are trying to happen and whatnot. And then I come back out, like I look at my phone and I see all these text messages from my mom. So I come back out around, and my friend ends up coming in. And this is the part where my mind kind of goes, and she filled me in a little bit because I was focused on these text messages from my mom and what to say and whatever. Because not, my mom was just kind of scared because, one, I was with someone that she didn't personally know. Two, I was drinking. Three, I've never been to New Orleans, Bourbon Street. I don't know the area. So she was just concerned for my safety, which is perfectly fine and normal. So she had started blowing up my phone because I didn't answer one of her phone calls because she just so happened to call when all this shit was going down. So my friend comes in and she started talking to Luke, and apparently we all three had a conversation about some shit, but I was focused on my phone, so I don't remember this. And she was like, yeah, you had a full-on conversation with Luke. I was like, fuck, why don't I remember this shit? But I do remember, like, I had stepped aside and it was me, Luke, and her. So then whatever, Arzelia finishes up, and I don't remember what ended up happening with the shot. Whatever. So then it's Arzelia comes back around, it's Arzelia and Luke, and my mom calls. And I tell Arzelia and Luke, I was like, can one of you guys please answer this? So my mom believes me, because I told her, I was like, I'm talking with Luke and Arzelia, and she was like, she wasn't buying it, she thought I was lying. And I was like, can one of you guys please answer this? And Luke was just giving me like the saddest face, like, I would love to, but I really can't. Because Dave was by the door. And I had apologized to Dave. I was like, Dave, I'm so sorry. I just saw Roy and I got excited. And I was just trying to close up the gap. And he was like, oh, Roy. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, it's no big deal, whatever. And so Luke just gave me like this apologetic face. And he's like, I'm really sorry, I can't. And so then Arzelia was like, oh, give me. And I give her the phone and she was like, hola, mami, ¿qué pasó? And I was like, I was cracking the fuck up. I was dead. And so she goes ahead and she answers like that. And I know my mom is just bitching. And Isaiah goes, oh? And they were talking. And then I remember I was saying some other shit to Luke. I think I was explaining what was going on. And whatever, we were just talking. And then she gets off the phone and she hands it back to me. And then they were like, oh yeah, we gotta go, because Dave was like telling them like to hurry up. So then they leave. I don't remember this part of the conversation because I was so focused on my fucking phone. But yeah, so then they leave and I go back out, and now that I think about it, the tequila shots were probably on the counter. Whatever. We leave and we see Michael again. And my friend was like, dude, go say hi to Michael. And I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. So I walk up to Michael and I tap him on the shoulder, and he didn't feel it, so I just tapped again. And then he turns around, he's like, oh, hi. And like his face is right here, like, because it was kind of loud. So his face is right here. And he's like, oh, hi. And I was like, hi, I just wanted to say hi because it's my 21st birthday. And he's like, oh, happy birthday. And he's like, I'm sorry, but I can't do any pictures today. I was like, no, that's fine. I just really wanted to meet you. And I hold out my hand and just to shake his hand. And I kept my hand there, and we were just talking, and I was like, yeah, I just want to say hi. I got to meet Crystal, and she's a really nice girl, and I just wanted to say hi to Roy also. And then Roy turns around, and he's like, oh, hey. And I was like, hi. And then Roy's security guard literally puts himself in between me and Michael, and he's like, okay, sorry, ma'am, your time is over. Like, he was just getting me to leave, and I was like, sweet, whatever, guy. And I just turned around and left. And but literally Michael is right here. He was so nice. Like, he was just staring straight, like it was just eye contact, like just straight up eye contact, and he was like genuinely invested in our very, very brief conversation. But it was awesome. Like it wasn't something that bothered him. Like he wasn't annoyed by me or anything like that. So then I go back to my friend and I was like, holy shit. I fucking met, like, I have never met Michael before. When I went to LA and I met 3 or 4, Michael left the studio right away. He didn't stop. Like, he just got in the SUV and he left. So I had been bummed since then. But the fact that he made an effort to try to say hi and I got to say hi to him meant a lot to me. Like, it was awesome. And so then, what else? I go back to my friend, I freak out, I finally met Michael, like whatever. I go, um, we go back to this bar place, whatever, and it was gonna be our last thing. We got a hot dog, and we were just hanging around, and she was having her hot dog, and all of a sudden, again, we spot the bird tattoo on Ashton's neck, and I was like, that, that's fucking Ashton. So we go, and he was with the blonde girl, and he and 2 other guys. And so she was like, "Do we approach him? Do we go?" And we say, "Hi, Ashton," and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And I asked him for a hug, and I realized that the reason that I asked him for a hug and not everyone else was because Callum, he was in a group setting. Luke was with Arzelia. That's fucking awkward. Michael, it was already like kind of constrained, so I wasn't about to ask him. Like, he was with security and they couldn't take pictures, so I assumed I couldn't get a hug in. But Ashton, he was in the setting that was most like personal, like it, like not personal, like the most free setting. Like, it was just him, some blonde girl, and 2 guys. The blonde girl isn't anyone that owes him anything because it didn't seem like a relationship like Arzelia or Crystal or Nia or anyone. Like, it was just some girl. And so I asked him out, and he wasn't with security either. So I was like, "Oh, can I get a hug?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I give him a hug. And then I told him, I was like, "Oh, it's my birthday." He's like, "Oh, happy 21st birthday." And we started talking about, there was like a metal bar, so my friend was telling him about it. And he's like, "Oh, that's cheesy." Like the name of it. And I told him about the big ass beers place, and he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I saw it, whatever." And so we were just like talking about Bourbon Street or whatever. And then he was like, "Oh, I have to go now to catch up with my friends." So we are like, "Okay, have a nice night, whatever." And like he left. And but his was the most personal like conversation. Like, it was literally like we were just talking, like whatever. So then it hit me, like I met 4-4 and they all wished me a happy birthday and it was awesome. Like, I dude, I couldn't have asked for anything better. Like, that was awesome. So then whatever, me and my friend, we go back to our hotel, wake up the next morning, and I'm a little hungover, but we handle things well. More beignets, and I probably said that wrong. Um, Beignets and cafe au lait, probably said that wrong too, are great for hangovers. And so then it's time for sound check. And for sound check, um, I have pit for Michael. So I had asked a lot of people who had had pit and sound check for how they handle things in their shows, and the general consensus was that in the US shows, if you have pit and sound check, for sound check it's better if you're in the back because they release sound check starting from the back. So that means that you'd be first in line for pit. And I really wanted barricade, so me and my friends decided to be last in line for sound check. Now, this ended up backfiring a little bit because when we went inside for sound check, they were only filling up the floor up until the sound booth, not on the sides of it. So once they got up to the sound booth, they put everyone else in the 100s closest to the stage. So I was like, oh shit. Like, either exit is gonna be harder, or no, either exit is gonna be harder, and also we're not gonna get chosen for questions because they're gonna stay on the floor. So whatever, no big deal. I was like, we'll figure it out when time comes. We sit, sound check starts, and they're doing sound check, and then all of a sudden I realized that one of the questions is coming from my section, And I was like, bitch, I still have my sound check question written down from Atlanta and Jacksonville. So I pulled that shit up on my phone really fast because there was also no security around. And I have my hand raised, and I'm the only person in that section with their hand raised. So the girl effectively comes around and she asks me, she's like, oh, what's your question? I show her the checklist. And she's like, oh, I get to pick. I was like, yeah, just let me know which one's the best. And she gave me two options. One was why they decided to put interludes for Sounds Good, Feels Good. And the other one was, what are your biggest fears and phobias? She told me to pick between those two, and I chose biggest fears and phobias because in another sound check, I believe they had gotten asked about interludes. And I also really wanted them to go on a rant about stupid, funny shit. So she was like, okay, you're set. She gives me the foam finger and the mic, and I stand up and I'm just waiting for them to finish the other question, and I lose the feeling in my hands because of how fucking nervous I was. And so then she's like, okay, go just say hi. And I was like, hi. And then you had to introduce yourself. And my mom was like, mention Bourbon Street. Like, she was glaring at me 2 seats down. She's like, mention Bourbon Street. Mention it. I was like, okay. So I go and I was like, hi, my name's Leslie. I'm from Miami. I saw you guys on Bourbon Street last night. And it was helpful that they had been talking about Bourbon Street the entire sound check. So then that's when they're like, oh, Leslie. And they're like, oh, yeah, it was your birthday. Ashton remembered, obviously, because I had said it. And we literally had, like, a personal conversation. Like, it was a conversation. So when Ashton remembered, like, he was the first one to remember, I would, of course he's going to remember because we had actually, like, talked. He was probably the one that was most there. And Luke remembered that it was my 21st birthday because of the shot and all that shit. And the conversation about what are the best birthdays. So Kyle and Michael also remembered because they had met me. But I wasn't as, I obviously left an impression on Luke and Ashton. And I thought that was fucking awesome. The second that they all remembered, like, friends of mine that were in the audience, they told me, they were like, your face, you were just shook. Like, your face just lit up. And I was like, holy shit. And then he was like, like, they asked me, and they were like, oh, how was it? And I was like, it was great. Like, even if it wasn't great, like, just them remembering me from the night before made it fucking great. And one thing was that, like I said, I don't do things for the retweets or anything like that, but it's one thing to say, I met so-and-so and so-and-so and this happened, but it's another thing to have them, establish in front of an entire sound check that, yeah, that shit actually happened. She actually did meet us last night. So it was, it validated things for anyone who might not have, believed me. So then, yeah, they remembered again in soundcheck, and I got to ask them a question, and it was a funny question too, because they started talking about furniture building, and I was just thinking about IKEA. And then at the end again, Callum wishes me a happy birthday, and Luke remembered it was my 21st birthday, so it was just a nice detail. Like, I was worried that they wouldn't have remembered me, but it's just like an extra mile. Like, not only did I get to meet them, and not only did they get to wish me a happy birthday, but they remembered me. So that was pretty nice, and I cannot complain. Like, that's gonna be something that I remember for forever. Like, you don't understand. Like, I replay these things over and over in my head, and I just wish I could have seen my face when they remembered me, and I wish I could remember, like, their faces, but I was kind of far up. So, but stop. Like, I can't. It was just so great. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better experience. Like, nothing can top any of that. Like, nothing at all. Like, for those of you who personally know me, you know that birthdays are my shit. Like, they're like 16 Candles is my fucking favorite movie. Because if that were to happen to me, I would, react the same way. But point is, birthdays are really important. So I felt really special for my birthday, and I just, everything just worked out so perfectly. Like, the entire weekend just worked out exactly how I could have ever wanted it to work out. Like, and I did, it was effortless. It was just effortless. Like, I have no words. Like, forever and always, I will remember Sound That Feels Like New Orleans as one of the greatest shows ever. Like the crowd was great. Everyone that I met was phenomenal. Everywhere that I went was phenomenal. The city was phenomenal. Like, I'm done. Like, that's it. I have no complaints. And if you listen to this entire thing, I am very appreciative of you because this shit is 36 minutes long. So I'm sorry. But yeah. All right.